Hey, 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 Fargo. Welcome to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. I am Jon Adams, like you guys didn't know that because I just said I'm Jon Adams. We're not even off and running because I got to tell you right now, my back is frozen, my toes are frozen. We got spoiled last year with the weather. I got to tell you, I forgot that it would get this cold, and it has been nothing short of torturous to get. It's funny because my car sits in the garage, and so I didn't get the full effect of the weather until I got out to go into the school. And I got to tell you, it's one of those days where I wonder, why do we live here? It is just cold. Go ahead and chime in, James.
About you being a true Upper Midwesterner?
Why do we live here, James?
We live here for all the activities. The ice fishing, the sledding, the tubing down the frozen hills, the snowmen that we make all winter long.
None of which I have participated in since my sons were young.
What about, let me think here quick. Well, I suppose we don't play football outside anymore. The Bison don't. The Dragons don't play that late into the year. So I suppose it's the joy of scraping off your windshield and getting ready to drive to see family. That's always fun.
You think so?
I think what's crazy is the fact that you weren't exposed to the elements till you got to the high school. That's just nuts to me. Having that nice, warm, heated garage
but remember,
it's taken the Midwesterner out of you.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
Okay, but I did suffer through not having a garage for. Now I'm 59, but the majority of my life, I don't think I had a garage till I was in my 30s. My wife will fact check that as she listens back to this program. But it was pretty late in life before I actually got a garage. But you know what? Everybody stay warm. The nice thing is I'm going to take my car to the car wash. And I always like this because it's so cold, your car is going to look nice because the streets won't be slushy. But anyway, so we're off and running. I'm Jon Adams. I said that for a third time. Part of it is that I'm a little I'm not under the weather. I'm just a little sad today. A week ago, a good family friend passed away. He committed suicide, and that's weighing heavy on my mind, and I wanted to talk about that this week. Frank Perro, he was a co-chairman of the American Indian Movement, or AIM, for those of you in the know. A great man. He's a great activist in the cities. I'll never forget. I'm going to a Vikings-Redskins game, right? And I got my ticket, and it's at TCF Bank Stadium, and I'll never forget. I don't even know who I went with, but I'm walking, and here Frank Perro is out front protesting the Redskins' name, and I'll never forget it. He's like, Nietzsche, what are you doing here? And Nietzsche means friend. And so I'll never forget, he was like, you can't support this. And I was like, well, as a matter of fact, I can. It's what I do. But, you know, Frank was passionate about helping his people. He's passionate about his community and family. You know, my condolences to my second family, the Perros. Prayers to you guys and healing. His ceremony will be on Sunday at the Native American Center in Minneapolis, and I will be attending that because I want to pay tribute to Frank and his legacy. But it also speaks to a greater issue that we have in this community, and I talk about it a lot. And like I said, during Thanksgiving, I was going through it, and part of it was my sister had passed away, and I think I mentioned it every show, but it hit me differently. And I have an awesome support network. You know, my wife, my kids, and my friends. And so it was really, I won't say it was easy for me to get through it, but it made it less difficult. And so I think that, you know, it's something where we really have to look into this and be mindful, you know, of our mental health. You know, and again, we have it's 988 is the crisis helpline, and I believe it's a national crisis helpline. So if someone is listening to this show and you are depressed or or you're questioning life and everything that it is, um, get help. Get help because one of the things that happens is when people commit suicide is that if you're part of that person's life, you always wonder, could I have done more? Could I have make a difference? Could I have made a difference so this person didn't feel like they wanted to take their life? And for me, what I've learned is if people are in that frame of mind, um, there's nothing that people can do to stop it, you know. But we can certainly be there for people when they're struggling, you know. And it's funny because so I took this job over at South High. Oh my gosh, over at Davies, and I'm a proctor. So basically, I monitor the halls, I engage with students and teachers, and all that good stuff. And for those of you that know me, I love to talk, and I say good morning to everybody that comes in. And it's funny because this young lady comes up and she says, "Are you going to be saying good morning every day?" I said, "Yeah, probably." And she goes, "Oh, okay." But today, for whatever reason, I started singing good morning. And the same young lady said, "You know what? It's fun when I come in because you're saying good morning." Well, I don't know what that young lady was going through, but I thought, you know what? If just saying good morning could change somebody's disposition, imagine what would happen if you start to have conversations with people, you know? And part of my job is to get to know the students, so I've been sitting at the lunch table just just asking them questions. And I'm going to talk about it later on because right now we live in a time where our educators are being beset upon. You know, people are talking about education isn't what it should be, and all these different things. And you know, I've learned that if you aren't part of the system or you don't take time to learn about what the system is really about, you're left to your devices and you're left to your social media to decide, is education good? Is education bad? Are we doing it right? People want to, take it out of the federal government, all these different things. But what it comes down to is the people that are in those positions of learning, the administrators, the support staff, those teachers. Now, I've had 8 days over at Davies, and the level of involvement is amazing to me. And I've been involved in high schools for the past, I don't know how many years, but my hat's off to the teachers and the administrators. It seems like there's a lot of proactive things happening so that these kids have a great educational experience. And I think that's the part that's being lost because nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about these teachers get here in the morning. Often they're teaching these kids in between classes. They're spending extra time with these kids, And it's fun because I get to see that. Well, that's way different than what I hear that, Now, are there teachers that are in it because they just want to have summers off? But even those teachers, I see that they're engaged and they're about business. And my big knock, if I had anything to say, is I think that our school boards are a little bit disconnected from what's going on in our high schools. What's going on in our schools, period. I think that some of these guys need to go and spend some time in the system. I think that our principals need to have a little more voice in the system. Okay? So that's just me. That's my rant about the school system. And James, it looks like I was right on time with my first break. So when we come back, we're also going to talk about therapy, dealing with loss around the holidays, and not forgetting the reason for the season. This is Jon Adams. If you want to call in, the phone number is 701-293-9000, or you can email at studio@wdayradionow.com. Oh, hey, welcome back to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. I was just giving James some advice. I need some upbeat music, dude. This is a heavy show to talk about. We'll talk about suicide and depression around the holidays, but at the same time, you know what? We cannot forget some of the stuff that makes life worth living. At the top of the list is, how about those Bison, huh? I mean, that was an amazing game. You know, we got the start of the game and the Bison go down early, and I didn't see the beginning of the game. I don't know what I was doing, but then when I started watching,
you were doing what they were doing.
What?
You were doing what the team was doing.
I don't know what I was doing. Oh, they didn't know what they were.
Did you see? Did you look? Just go look at the box score and tell me what the first quarter was like for them.
I don't know, but I look, man. I was like this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens. And I swear to goodness, when I saw the score, I said, systematically, the Bison are going to play hard-nosed defense, and then the offense is going to start mashing the ball. You know, they'll do some play action, some rollout and stuff like that. And by halftime, this game will be tied up. And I'm watching the game, and I like this about Polasek. All of the excessive celebration on the field is gone. It seems like the players are locked in. They don't get rattled. You remember the first quarterback, the one that Walker, Steve Walker, right? That dude was unflappable. He didn't have to. He wasn't demonstrative. Easton Stick, not so. Carson Wentz, all these guys. Cam Miller has that sort of swagger, you know? He's not out there hot dog or anything like that. He's just getting the job done. You see him on the sidelines. He's very workmanlike. And I think that's the culture that Polasek has brought back to Bison football. And I'm happy. I think that they are going to get down to Frisco, no problem. You know, I think they have to. SDSU may have to come up here, or is it Montana State?
It would be South Dakota State. Well, I suppose it kind of depends because it's a 3-6 matchup this weekend, so they have Incarnate Word. But from all the guys I've talked to, all the sources I have, Incarnate Word is one of those paper tigers or cupcake type of teams.
Ahead. I'm looking ahead to the next matchup. Bison players and coaches don't do what I'm doing. I didn't even think about Incarnate Word. I remember the last time they were up here, they got drubbed, you know?
That was because they had Lindsey Scott Jr. He was a special talent at quarterback.
He was.
He was incredible.
He was. Did they win that game?
Hey, it was a high-scoring affair. It got into the national semifinals. They got to the national semifinals.
Did they win that game?
The Bison won that game.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
So Lindsey Scott wasn't that great a talent.
Well, if you saw how that team played the day he left campus.
Dead air. I didn't.
That's all right.
Anyway.
If you want, you could tell people to attend the game this weekend. Second lowest attendance in a Bison playoff game in the Division I era.
I was about to get to that, but you know what, James? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to let you do the segment.
Well, I feel like we're conflicting a little bit.
You know what? I agree 200% that I have been on the Bison fans, and the students a few years ago were on the administration about, hey, we should get these tickets, and then they're absent, and it's driving me crazy because we just talked about how long does it take to get ready to play a game on Saturday? 4 to 6 hours a day for anybody involved in the program, and then the fans don't have it's like, where's the respect for what these young men and these coaches are doing? You know? I mean, I think it's just tragic because, by the way, all these people that think the Bison should move up, I need you guys to be quiet. If you can't fill a stadium during the playoffs, what are you going to do when the Bison are 5-5 and they're going to the Hallelujah Bowl in Idaho? You know, I wouldn't be so quick to be touting that we need to move up because, you know, Idaho back in the day when they were good, they moved up, and what happened? 10 years later, they're back in the FCS.
Yeah, that was crazy.
You know, now some people say, well, look at what James Madison did last year. Look at Appalachian State. Look at Georgia Southern. I haven't really heard any of those FCS schools bust in the past 10, 20 years. Have you?
The only one that's kept itself sustainable for a respectable bowl game would be Boise State, and they did that in the '90s, right into the turn of the century.
Well, and Boise State is actually in the mix this year.
Yep.
But other than that,
but that's been 30 years in the works.
Yeah, but what high play, and that's the point is that, part of it is that you've always got to have people that are interested in the product. And I'm sorry, but I remember when Coach Bull got here. And it was the same sort of thing when they were transitioning to FCS. The attendance wasn't there. So what makes people think that all of a sudden the fans are going to be interested? Now, the interesting thing is that corporate sponsorship is driven by people attending the games, people watching the game, the fans, right? Well, if the fans aren't coming, if the fans aren't invested, do you think that these community leaders are going to pump money into the Bison program? Right now, the team makers, I'm interested to hear how their NIL collective is going. I haven't heard much about it.
That Green and Gold collective?
Yes.
I haven't heard a ton about. I've seen there's been a couple of different events, things of those sorts that they do, but
yeah. Well, okay. So now you're talking about moving up to. So I guess we're talking Bison football, huh? I guess I got a little bit to say on the matter. But seriously, it's something that we have to talk about because if you want to have a collective and you want to go up to the FBS level, you better have at least $5 to $10 million in your collective to get the talent that you need to compete the way the Bison want to compete. What did Michigan pay their top flight quarterback? Was it 10 or 15 million?
Oh gosh, I have no idea.
It's between 10 and 15 million. They bought the number one quarterback in the nation. Hey, you know what you could do? Because your intern is just sitting there looking at you with that goofy look on his face. He could look that up while we're sitting here.
Well, I know Ohio State is a $20 million roster, so you want the Michigan quarterback, like the Michigan Wolverines quarterback?
They're a recruit.
The recruit? Okay.
I'll type it up here. But anyway. But that's the type of money that we're talking about, to actually compete in any big way. Now, Michigan and those guys, they're talking about, getting to the national title. How long do you think it would take before the Bison are in the conversation? Secondly, if they did go, if they're not in a Power 5 conference, look at the seedings for the playoffs right now. And if there are any Bison fans out there that could explain, you know what? I've got $1 for anybody that could explain a good reason why the Bison should move up. Go ahead and call in the phone number 701-293-9000, but it just doesn't make sense. It's kind of like people saying, hey, Morehead State should have a hockey program. Have you heard that?
I've heard rumblings of it, and there was a possibility, but it fizzled out with the backing financially it would need.
Well, and it's like,
and they'd have to go Division I as well, kind of like what St. Cloud State and Minnesota Duluth do,
right?
And Augustana as well.
And so, if we can't get the support and the financial support, now I've always said that football it sets the stage for your school. You got a good football program, students are going to attend. We don't need to look any further than Colorado to make that point, right? I mean, Dion comes there. Their enrollment is up. I mean, unbelievable amounts. The dollar value to that community is up over $400 million. Now, that's Dion, but the point is, Morehead State used to have a very proud tradition of football, national playoffs, national title, all those things, attending. I mean, so the tradition was there, but the financial backing was never where it should be to maintain a nationally renowned program. And hats off to President President Tim over there, because he's trying to build a well-rounded university over there. And not just sports, but everything, academics, student experience. I'm telling you, the student experience at Morehead State is going to be outstanding. I think that the culture that the new president is bringing is getting to a point where I think you're going to see some big things coming out of that institution. But anyway, back to the Bison. we do need to support them. And hey, listen, I'm not looking for tickets to the game. I got to go and wish Billy T, one of my college friends, a happy 60th birthday on Saturday. But now let's get to the creme de la creme, and that is, how about those Vikings? The Vikings are what, 11-2? James?
Yes, sir. They're 11-2.
They're 11-2.
Yep.
Now, if you remember, I put them on 10-6, right? At the beginning of the year.
I had them maxed out at 10-7 this year. I thought somewhere between 7 and 10 wins.
Yeah. Well, I had them at least 10. So now for me, this is all gravy.
Oh, very much so, especially with the journeyman quarterback and Sam Darnold that just made himself tens of millions of dollars this season to this point.
I do not care if they get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. You know? It's just
You've been bruised and battered as a Minnesota sports fan, haven't you?
I have, but here's the thing. They far exceeded our expectations. So why would I think that they're elite enough to win the first game in the playoffs? Because they might be 11-2, but their defense has given up over 350 yards the past 3 weeks.
I got to love-hate with that.
You know?
If we can go get 3 starters.
What in the devil? Well, with their
What's that?
I'm saying with their defense giving up over 300 yards a game, that's that. Hey, in the playoffs, you're not seeing Justin Fields. You know, you're not seeing the Panthers quarterback. You're not seeing a Kyler Murray. You're going to see the elite. And you think about it, you're probably going to have to go to Philadelphia, okay? And with their running game, they can run the ball enough. I mean, lately our run defense has been a little suspect. And we've dropped a little bit these last 3 weeks. So for me, I'm a realist. I'm not going to yell Super Bowl or bust because that's crazy. But I tell you what, in my heart, I like their chances. You know, I like their chances because guess what? Every time Sam Darnold has needed to drive down to get them in a position to win the game, he's done that. Now, some of the games the defense has had to hang on, but think about that. Every game except for this last one, the Vikings have been challenged, and Sam Darnold has answered the challenge. And even the two games that they lost, we were in that thing until the end. And there were some questionable things that happened, but I'm never going to blame the refs because there's way too much that happens during a game to say, oh, we lost it because the ref didn't do this or this player fumbled or any. But when we come back, we're going to talk some more Viking football, and we're going to talk about eating smart during the holidays, connecting with friends and family, and the reason for the season. This is Jon Adams, the Talk of the Town. If you want to call in, the phone number is 701-293-9000, or you can email at studio@wdayradionow.com. That's what I'm talking about. Really? You just going to play the music out that quick, James? We're not vibing at all, James. What happened?
Oh, no, it's coming back. I'm cutting your mic.
I was about to say, is the weather that cold? All right, let's rock and roll now. I'm all fired up. James he's turning on the wheels of steel. That's how old I am, James. They still call it, we call it the wheels of steel, baby. You guys call them DJs and stuff like that. Evidently, Shaq is a DJ now. But anyway, so I was going to talk about, again, I've had some pretty tragic events happening around Christmas, and every year it gets harder and harder. You lose friends and family, and it's like, man, I miss this person, and it's like, how do you deal with it? And so for my support network is vast and wide, and there are a number of people that I can talk to and get help. So there is a website called Man Therapy, and I'm speaking to men right now because, when I grew up, men didn't share their feelings, But my dad was a guy we hugged, he kissed me on the cheek. We talk about things, a very, very affectionate man, but at the same time, he was stoic. I never knew what that guy was going through, I think I only saw him cry 3 or 4 times, and that was kind of the way the norm of that day was, men hold their feelings in, you're stoic, you deal with it, that type of thing. But it's a different time now, okay? And being a father, the one thing that I want to stress upon my sons was you have to express yourself. You have to share your feelings, because if you bottle it up, that's got to go somewhere. And we know that stress kills. We know that depression, all these things have a negative impact on your body. So I'm going to run down some things that this Man Therapy website, it's fantastic because it's something that I happen to come across in just dealing with all this stuff. So the first thing is, use a humorous approach to difficult situations. And people that know me know that that's my first thing, is I'm going to try to make light of the situation. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it falls flat. But, my take on it is, why not just be happy? Uh-oh. You know what that is? Why not just be happy? That's my alarm telling me to be happy. The second is, dealing with a lot of things. I'm a private person, and I have a therapist and all this, but being on the radio, I guess I am sharing a lot of myself with people these days. But I find that if I get online, there's a lot of online resources that you can use. Personal support network. The big thing is you have to recognize where you're at. And so I'm working with these kids and in the schools, and the one thing that I tell them is that any moment, if you're not feeling the way you want to feel, you can change that. And it's a second-by-second proposition. And I believe that once you decide, absence of real mental issues, once you decide that you want your day to be better, if you can just find one thing that you can center on, and for me, it always comes back to my wife and my kids. It comes back to the fact that I live in Fargo, which is a great place to live. Every day I encounter people that are doing great things, and so I'm not really swayed by the media. I'm not swayed by the TikTok and the Facebook, because, real life is braving the 0 degrees temperatures. And it's funny because it's 0 degrees and we are all in solidarity because we're all cold. I don't care if you're black, blue, yellow, or green. It's cold outside. And I think we kind of wear that as a badge of honor, that we're tough enough to live in this community, but little things like that. And I see it every day. And for the most part, I manage to get through tough times by using all these things. But also, you have to remember that you have to stay active. I have, hello, Mrs. Brantner. Hello, Mr. Brantner. Hello, Ellie. So my in-laws, they are over at Touchmark having a great time. And we were talking about the fact, as long as they're active, as long as they're moving, Now, they may not move as fast, but they take their trips down to lunch and dinner. They walk down the halls. They still use their walkers, around the apartment. As long as you're moving, you got something. So a lot of times if I'm stressed, I'll go work out, or, I don't hike. That's for my wife. Second, make sure that you have a routine. And what I've learned now is since I have to get up at 7 o'clock, which I didn't used to. By the way, the guy to my left, if you can see him, this is Caden Lloyd. He's a senior at NDSU. And I asked him to come in here because I'm going to ask him about why the students don't support their team, which is a 9-time national champion. So he's sitting here now, and we'll get to him in a minute. Good-looking kid. He's a senior. He's going to graduate. I think there are great things ahead. I don't know. Are there?
Hopefully so. Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah. You got to make it happen, baby. So what's your major?
I'm a journalism major.
Journalism major, huh? So you're going to be a part of the machine.
Yeah, that's the plan.
So what are you going to do with that? You going to get on radio? You trying to take my job? What's going on here?
I'm not really sure yet, but what I've been able to do around James all this semester has been just the greatest experience of my life.
Man.
Something.
James.
High praise to James
the great. He didn't say it was a good experience. The greatest experience of. Well, I got to tell you, I love James. He spins the wheels. A lot of times when James comes on the air, it's because I might be lost, or you'll find that I have cognitive issues that allow me to roam the vast plains and not talk about anything. James is a guy that anchors me and puts me back where I need to be. But, hey, man, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And so welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, I figure, you know what? Let's talk to some young people that are doing great things in the community. So why NDSU?
Why did I choose NDSU?
Yeah.
So I was wrapping up high school. I'm from Valley City originally. Okay. It was between either NDSU or UJ. And my sisters, they went to the University of Jamestown, and I just kind of didn't want to do that. So
no, I could see why you didn't want to do that.
So I decided to go east instead of west and found myself here.
So you were like, I'm going to the big city.
Yeah.
You put your shoes and your tennis shoes in your bag, slung your backpack over your shoulder, and you headed off to the big city.
See a mom, yeah.
And now you're going to graduate.
Yeah.
That's got to, I mean, it's a journey, isn't it?
Yeah. It was a journey. A lot of, hard work that I put myself into. It showed for myself, and, it was really good to see all my work kind of starting to pay off a bit, and it's really reaffirming to myself. So, yeah. Well,
that was the buzzer that said you are doing fantastic stuff. So what is with the students and the not staying at games or even attending games?
To be honest, in previous years, when I was going to every single home Bison football game, I was part of the crowd that would leave at halftime. I would leave after we would be up 40 points.
Okay.
I don't know. A lot of the student demographic could be just a little too tired, and some other factors could lead them to wanting to go maybe take a nap. And
okay.
So maybe that's about 50% of the students that are leaving the games early. That counts for a huge part of them.
Well, that is part of the college experience. We do need our sleep.
Yep.
Especially if we play those games in the morning, right?
Yep. And then, to be honest, I haven't been to a ton of the home games this year. Like I said, I've only been to the popular ones. So, yep. I'm kind of airing myself out on air here. But me personally, I had to work a lot on the weekends this semester as well. But
so it's not that you don't want to, but life takes precedence.
Right. Exactly.
You don't work, you don't eat.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, so you get a pass because you said I used to attend all the games, but now I got to work.
Yeah.
I got stuff I got to do, Mr. Adams. Well, welcome to WDAY. I wish nothing of the best for you. So you're going to stick around?
Yeah, I believe I'll just be over in the
No, I mean in here.
Oh, I can if you need.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little more.
Yeah.
Are you a Viking fan?
Yeah, I'm a Viking fan, but I am a Steeler fan as well. I don't ask how it works. And then Twins fan.
First team?
Probably the Steelers.
Get out.
All right.
I didn't know that before the internship, just so we're clear.
I feel like I should have. I feel like we missed a big.
Like you should have too.
That wasn't a part of the application process.
Russell Wilson, guys. We can talk about his revelation.
This is a purple zone. This is a purple zone, sir.
George Pickens.
This is a purple zone, sir.
You talk about a Watt, and we can get away with it.
If you want to talk about the purple,
I can talk about the purple.
Okay.
We can talk about the Twins. We can talk about the Wolves.
No.
He was big into the Twins. That really put his application upward.
Yeah.
No. This is football season.
All right. It is football
we
season.
can talk about the Wolves, but right now, since we're going there, I am disgusted with what's his name? Who's the kid? Who's their number? Who's for the Timberwolves?
Anthony Edwards?
I'm disgusted with him.
He swore?
He's got to learn when to use everybody around him. You know, Michael Jordan wasn't great until he learned how to distribute the ball and take over at the right time. But this dude takes over, and whether it's good or bad, he just continues to try to take over, which a lot of times contribute to their losses. And it's like, hey, you have a team around you. And once he learns how to really utilize these guys, there's going to be no stopping him. But he's still young in the head, and he's doing some things where I'm just like, dude, you got a guy wide open. Why challenge three guys to the bucket? I know that you might make it, but if they're going to go a long way, like last year I thought it was the same thing. When he wasn't hot, he still tried to be hot, you know? And so I think that's why they didn't advance in the playoffs, besides which the other two teams are pretty good. Well, James says we're up against our final break. When we come back, we will wrap it up. We're going to talk the reason for the season, keeping Christ in Christmas, and we're going to wrap up the Bison Viking conversations. Jon Adams will talk of the town. If you want to call in, the phone number is 701-293-9000, or you can email it, studio@wdayradionow.com. Hey, welcome back to Talking to Town with Jon Adams. I'm sitting here with Caden Lloyd, NDSU intern at WDAY, and by all accounts, this is the greatest experience of his life, all made possible by one Mr. James, Big Game James McCarty.
Yes, sir.
So when we went to the break, we made it perfectly clear that we don't speak Viking, we don't speak Steeler language. So the big buzz now is, so the media has gone from totally dismissing Sam Darnold as a flash in the pan, he's trash, he's all this. Now the talking heads are saying the Vikings need to retain Sam Darnold for next year. What do you think?
Well, let's be clear first. I think I have enjoyed, as a younger guy, just kind of seeing Sam Darnold and his success take off this season. It's nice to note that broken quarterbacks are usually failed by coaching staffs, and that's I forget who was it. Adam Gase, when he was first drafted to the Jets, I believe was his coach, and yeah, it's been a treat to watch Sam Darnold throw the ball this season, and he has really been nice. And now you have to wonder what we do with J.J. McCarthy as well.
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah,
I will tell you, if Sam Darnold asks for more than $20 million, let him walk.
I agree.
Okay, because Daniel Jones is not a bad quarterback. He was just on a bad team.
I believe KOC could probably do wonders with Daniel Jones as well.
And here's the thing. If we get offensive line help, okay, that's what we have, all the pieces. We need interior offensive linemen, interior defensive linemen. The Vikings will be a Super Bowl contender next year. I don't think that either side of the ball, as far as the line goes, is steady enough to produce in playoff time. You know, I mean, there were a couple games where our center just got blown up. I mean, just trashed, and our guard play is serviceable at best. And so that's what I see. Well, Daniel Jones, I mean, look, 2 years ago, I was at that Vikings game where he just carved us up and kept his team in. You know, he throws a good ball. He's athletic. He can run. But you keep that quarterback number down because you're going to have to pay Addison. You're going to have to pay some of these other players.
Yep.
So we live with that, you know. But if Sam Darnold comes in for $30 million, I think you can swing that. But he's not a $40, $50 million quarterback.
How many years would you say you'd be comfortable giving him as well?
Maybe 2.
Yeah.
2 at the most, because, you know, one of the things that the Packers do, as much as I hate the Packers, is that every quarterback they have has been able to sit for 1 or 2 years. And I said this about Darnold. He's been in the league long enough where if he gets in the right system, he can do some things.
Yeah.
You know? And I think when he was in San Francisco, you saw it. Here, the games that he was shaky, he looked like the old Sam Darnold. But the beautiful part is you look at his bounce-back games. You know?
Yeah.
You look at how many times critically they've had him. This last game, they needed a 4th down to continue the drive, and he lasered it in there to Justin Jefferson. Just absolutely amazing. I mean, that was a dime. You know, he's got a pretty deep ball. So for me, I'm like, you know what? If Sam Darnold were smart, he wouldn't ask for as much money as he could get. He wouldn't ask for more than a 2-year deal. You know, because for me, it's like, hey, he's already made. I mean, his signing bonus alone when he came out, I think, was $40 million.
Yeah, I was going to say it was over.
So it's not about the money. I mean, if he genuinely wants to win a championship, Minnesota gives him the best chance. You know, KOC loves him. You know, Jefferson is learning to love him. But I like the fact that JJ now, he came out and he said, you know, I haven't been having the games that I want to have, but if I'm not eating, if my teammates are eating, I'm okay with that. If that's the attitude that everybody has on this team,
there's no limit for what they can
do.
No
limit. And that's the way teams talk.
Yeah.
You know, you look at Detroit, as much as I can't stand their fans, because they act like they've been winning forever.
I'm with you.
And so it's like, you know what? You hear those players talk. It's all about the locker room. It's all about the coach. Those are the teams that typically win championships. You know, you look at the Saints when they won. They had that same sort of thing. You know, you look at, of course, the Patriots.
Yeah.
There's a way to do things. So, Big Game James says, I only have a minute, and I got all this stuff to talk about, but I do want to say this. If you're struggling this season, you know, first, be spiritual. Pray whatever entity you pray to. Secondly, seek help if you need it. You know, if you don't have family, you have the 988 hotline with a suicide or a hotline that deals with crisis issues. With that, I'm going to say, everybody have a great week. Stay out of this weather. Make sure you got a shovel in your car. Make sure you warm up your car before you get going. This is Jon Adams. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week. This is Jon Adams with Talk of the Town. Have a great day, and as always, stay black.